I'm Jen, and welcome to my studio. And today we are doing a Tappy Talks vlog. Now, a lot of times I'll do these vlogs sitting in my vlog space, which is like, sitting down, I'm closer to you, it's not as echoey. Today I needed to have my tap shoes on for this one. Sometimes my Tappy Talks vlogs come from positive things. It comes from things I see in dance classes or things that you request. And sometimes my Tappy Talks vlogs come from negative things. I recently started a TikTok and I'm loving the community over there as far as like tap talk. There's like a hashtag tap talk. And people are just loving tap over there. It's great. I'm growing over there, which is so nice. I give like mini tutorials. So if you like what I'm doing here, follow me on TikTok because I give like mini tutorials, like 30-second tutorials as opposed to like the 10 minutes here. So you get extra stuff no matter where you go. It's all still free. That's my MO, all right? But one thing that's been happening lately is every time I post a TikTok where I name a step, everyone and their mom decides to come in and tell me that I called the step by the wrong name. Doesn't matter what it is. Like I did a shiggy bop. Now, if you go on this channel and you go on United Taps and you go to several other teachers on YouTube or in the world, you'll see they do a shiggy bop like that. It's a shiggy bop. That one. So I call that a shiggy bop. I want to say like 50 people came on and told me, no, that's not a shiggy bop. It's and then insert whatever the name is here. One person called it a flying shuffle, or a flying riff. That's the coolest name ever. I love that name. I didn't know that was a thing, so glad to have learned that. I didn't tell her she was wrong, but she definitely told me that I was wrong for calling it a shiggy bop. Or like they would say, no, I thought a shiggy bop was just on one foot and you don't use your brush first. I said, I learned that as a shovel. But other people have learned that as a shiggy bop. I have heard this one, that one, or with the scuff. I've heard it called a shiggy bop and a shovel, depending on where you learned it. So my point of this video is that no matter what you call a step, it's not wrong to call it that. Unless, like I said in another video recently, unless it's like if you're gonna call a step obviously the wrong thing, like I had one student tell me that her teacher called these buffaloes. That is clearly a maxi Ford. Never in the history of tap have those been interchangeable because a buffalo takes you somewhere. It's called shuffle off to buffalo, so you really need to be able to move. A maxi Ford is very, very different. They're named after two different things. One is after a person, one is after a place. So those are obviously inherently different steps with names that are not interchangeable. Basic steps. But then you've got things like the shiggy bop. I call it a shiggy bop. I've always called it a shiggy bop. United Taps calls it a shiggy bop, and I completely love United Taps' program. If you want more of what I do, but like from a different person with a different style, go check out United Taps. He's fantastic. He calls this a shiggy bop. Some people call this a shiggy bop. And then they call this a flying riff. Or I've learned a lot of people call it the Heinz riff. And that's cool. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that it was called the Heinz riff. No one ever told me that. I learned it as a shiggy bop, which means I'm not wrong for calling it a shiggy bop. There are plenty of people that call it that. It can also be called a Heinz riff and apparently has a rooted history with Gregory Hines. Very cool. I'm happy to know that. My problem is when people come into TikTok firing on all cylinders and like full speed ahead, photon torpedoes armed. No, that's called a Heinz riff. You're wrong. And it's like, wait, I don't think you understand the community of tap. Within the community of tap, there is a shared understanding of musicianship, kind of like jazz musicians, and a shared understanding of differentiated experience, like jazz musicians. When jazz musicians come together and one person is like, maybe there's two jazz drummers that come together and one of them holds their sticks like this and then the other holds their sticks like this. I know that from far away it's really, really hard to see, but there's like one type where you hold your sticks like upper-handed, and then there's one where you hold them like underhanded. You know what I mean? They like go, oh, that's groovy, I like that. Yeah, so let me see you do this. Let me see you do this. They share the idea and they come together to celebrate their differences. Tap dancers do that. Absolutely, tap dancers do that. I call this one thing, you call it another. I get really excited to find out what you call it. I'm like, oh, this is a Broadway, right? I always learned this as a Broadway. But then somebody comes to me and says, no, I call it a Shirley Temple. And that's the best way of saying it. Wait, you call that a Broadway? I call that a Shirley Temple. Cool. Never, ever, ever go up to a tap dancer, whether you're 10 times like their superior or their, it doesn't matter what level anyone is. Never go up to a tap dancer and say, that is not called a Broadway. That is a Shirley Temple. Because you just cut off the ability to share with that person. And a large part of tap dance is sharing. It's creating together. We are basically like jazz musicians, and the magic of jazz happens when two people of different backgrounds and different experiences come together to create something new. So when you come at somebody with, no, that's not called that. That's called this. You have shut off the ability to share with that person, because what you said to them is you do not accept their ideas. You do not accept their history, their background. They can only accept yours. And that's the point of this Tappy Talk, to remind everybody that the tap community is a beautiful, open community about sharing and creating together and learning together, constantly learning. We can't shut each other off by saying, you're wrong. Now, if somebody's doing a step incorrectly, to say that they are wrong isn't necessarily wrong. Like, hey, I know, like if I was doing a Broadway, it's really hard for me to do that wrong. I'm sorry, I've been doing it so long. But when I use the opposite heel, the wrong heel first, it's okay to say, hey, you definitely have like the basics of that step, but you need to switch which heel you're using first. Use that heel first. That's a much better way to correct somebody than to say, hey, you're doing that wrong. It's with the other heel first. You're doing that wrong. Because that person is suddenly going to feel like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. I must be terrible. So you start them at such a low feeling versus, hey, you definitely have this. I just got to tweak one little thing and then it's perfect. And that's a note for teachers out there. Just constant, like, you can say somebody needs to fix something, but it's in the way that you present it that allows them to either start from a negative place or a positive place. And you will always get a better result from a positive place. So that's for teachers. But you can't just say like, hey, how you say that is totally wrong and you need to say it like this from now on because I'm right. You have completely destroyed any ability to share with that tap dancer, because that tap dancer is going to be like on the defensive now. And I want to admit, I was on the defensive. I'm sitting here like replying to everybody like, hey, that's cool. And I replied very positively for the people that were like, no, it's a Heinz riff. You're wrong. It's a Heinz riff. I'm like, okay, cool. And I replied with, wow, I never heard it called that. I grew up learning it as a shiggy bop, and that's so cool that it has another name. And then they'll literally come back at me with like, no, but a shiggy bop is this, so you're wrong again. And I'm just like, oh wow, I called that a shovel. That is so cool. And then like, I just keep not getting a positive response out of it. And I understand that we all have learned different things, and maybe like, I call these a Broadway. I'm allowed to call it a Broadway because in many ways it is a Broadway. In many places that you can learn that. It is also called a Shirley Temple. It is also called a Manhattan. It is also called an Alexander. If somebody calls that an Alexander, you can't say, hey, you're wrong, that's a Shirley Temple. Because it is also called an Alexander. It just depends on where you learned it. It's kind of like vernacular, different vernacular for the same step. So my point in this video I want to tell a quick story and then I'll get to the point. Speaking of not knowing the names of steps, I remember I was at the beginning of my professional career. I've been tap dancing a really, really long time. Beginning of the professional career, I go take a workshop from a teacher I had taken from many, many times. And he said, all right, so now we're going to do some paradiddles. And I was like, oh, I don't know what paradiddles are. What am I doing? I can't be a professional. I shouldn't even be in this class. I freaked out. And then suddenly he does this. And I was like, those are paddle and rolls. Oh, I know those. I had this moment of like, I suck. That totally changed when I realized he just called paddle and rolls paradiddles. And then I started learning how to drum and I started being with that teacher more, and suddenly I adopted calling it a paradiddle. It's not wrong. It's not wrong to call it a paradiddle. It's not wrong to call it a paddle and roll. It just means you come from different educational backgrounds. That's it. That's all it is. So the point of this video is not just to like be kind to your fellow tap dancer, because sometimes even people like me who are just super positive all the time, we get hurt. I got hurt on TikTok. This is my second time getting hurt on TikTok. I love TikTok, but it hurts. But also just don't close the door on another tap dancer. Don't close off the ability to share just because you felt like being negative in the way that you wanted to tell somebody that you do things differently. Don't bring negativity to a tap dancer. We don't want it. I know you guys feel the same way. We don't want negativity. We just want creativity and positivity and the ability to share and make music with each other. So if anyone comes at you like that, like let's say you do a video and you are brave enough to post it on social media, because let me tell you, that takes guts, okay? That takes major guts. I'm learning that every day. So you make a video and you're brave enough to post it on social media. If somebody comes at you with, that's not how you do that, you just go, oh, okay, well that's how I learned how to do it. I'd love to see how you do it so that I can learn from you. You take a negative and you give it a positive spin. You open the door for that person to take a step back and say, okay, I'm gonna come at you more positively. Or if they continue to come at you with negativity, you just stop responding. That's just how I've had to handle it. So we all call different steps different things. It's just part of tap dance. Learning to be accepting about it is also part of tap dance. You're gonna go take class from so many different teachers throughout your lives, throughout your tap careers. You're gonna take class from tons of people. And they're all gonna call steps different things. They're all gonna start on different counts. They're all gonna, one person's gonna tell you that every single buffalo has the shuffle up to the side. You're gonna meet someone that says shuffles go to the back in the buffalo. I don't know why they would do that, but like, let's say somebody did that. Respect the dance, respect the artist, respect the choreographer, respect yourself. So that's my tappy talk for today. It did come from a place of negativity, but I hope, like I usually do, I brought it to a place of positivity. Just reminding everybody that the tap dance community is a beautiful, beautiful community of sharing and creating with each other. So keeping that positivity and just being open to learning from each other is so important. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button and share and create with me all the time. We have vlogs like this, technique tutorials, step tutorials, choreography tutorials where I teach you fun combinations, challenges, all kinds of stuff on this channel. This is a free tap dance resource for you. I love creating these videos for you, so thank you so much for being a part of my online tap studio. Also, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, because positivity is key, and also YouTube loves when people hit that thumbs up button, because then it goes, oh, people like these videos. And then it puts it out there for more people to find. And what is the harm in more people finding free tap dance classes? So hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And please be kind and positive all the time within the tap community and everywhere, but especially within the tap community. But yeah, thank you so much. And as always, thank you for dancing with me.